I've been a Christian for about 3 or 6 months. And I remember Kath saying to me, Gary, when are we going to start tithing? And I said, what is it? She said, we need to give 10%, of our income to the church and to charities. And I didn't even really think about it. I just said, you've got to be joking. We earn too much to do that. And then, like most things, when you get a prompt, you end up doing it. So a couple of weeks later, we get tithing. And I have to say, God doesn't want your money. If I think a lot of non-Christians think that all the church wants is our money. Actually, God doesn't want our money at all. If you don't want to give your money to the Lord, just don't give your money to Him, but actually believe in Jesus. Just go to church. Just get saved. But at the end of the day, I think that if you use the Christian faith as a bit of pick and mix, you actually don't get out of it the full effect of being a Christian. And the reason I say that is that the minute we started tithing, we found actually it was really exciting. We just got involved with so many different things. And you, again, I would say this now, I can't outgive God. It's just, the more you give away, the more you get. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing. This isn't the prosperity gospel. I'm not saying that. I don't give to get, because again, it comes back to motive. But we just started giving and giving and giving. And honestly, we've just got involved. We ended up being some very early on founders with a UK charity called the Toy Box Charity that was working with street children in Guatemala. And the thing is, with money, I'm not sure any of us want on our grave that we built the biggest business and died with the biggest bank account. Because guess what? En route, you could go skin, absolutely bust and lose everything. But what I do know is that when you've changed a child's life, and bearing in mind, as a dad, as a grandfather, working in the toy trade, if I support most things, they're predominantly family and children focused. If you change a child's life, you can't take it back off them. That life is changed. And I remember one kiddie in Guatemala, he grew up on the streets. He got a foot infection and he had like an elephant's foot. I think that's what they might have called it. I don't think I'm speaking the wrong language on this. And that lad, the group worked with, he got to know Jesus, and in playing footballing on the streets, he fell under a bus and died. Now, it doesn't matter how much money we put into Guatemala, you can't take that saved life off that child. And I think that's the same the world over. And moving on to generosity, generosity can be expressed in many ways. And I've learned a lot from the Generous Journey folks and from Darryl and the team. And they provoked me and challenged me and all those great things. But generosity, if I said to many people, I want you to be generous, tell me what's just popped into your mind, they would say, you want my money. And I would say, that's a part of the story. But you've just retired. What did you do for a living? Oh, I was an accountant. I was a lawyer. I was a school teacher. So you've got skills and talents in you. Who are you going to pass the baton on to? Would you give a kiddie, whatever age, or even a youngster that's starting to rebel, would you give them an hour of your time a week? 2 hours a month? That's generosity with your time and your skills and your talents. And we've got a business that's got lorries and warehouses and other things. Those of us have different assets which we can use to be generous with. It doesn't necessarily mean it's got to cost us physical money. It's a will to do it. So just a couple of examples, a will to do it. We tithe 10% of our company profits. I want my staff to be generous, and therefore we offer a payroll giving scheme, a monthly payroll giving scheme, and to encourage them, bribe them if you want, it doesn't really matter, encourage them. Whatever they give every month to a charity of their choice, we will match. Nearly 50% of my staff give monthly to a charity of their choice through their pay. So the company gives, the staff gives, And then there was a new concept came out about 8 years ago called pennies. And you have a similar thing in the US, where when you go into a shop, you buy what you wanted to buy, and say it comes to £9.75, you have the ability to round up to the nearest pound, and you round up to the nearest dollar. And this was a willingness to say yes, cost me nothing, but using our infrastructure as it was to do good, to be generous, to encourage and inspire generosity. And at an average of about 40 pence per donation, we raise £1 million a year. In it's called micro donations. It's small amounts of money that if you stop somebody outside the shop and say, "Did you give to pennies?" and they say yes, and you then say, "How much was it?" they say, "I don't know," because it just rounded up to the pound. But they just said yes. £1 million a year. It's cost me virtually nothing, but it was a willingness to use what I have to make a difference. And then one last story on that. So during the UK, we had a big lockdown last year, May through to June. All our shops were closed. We were facing into the biggest financial crisis of the business that we've ever faced in 40 years. I actually thought by the end of May we were going to go bust. I thought, this is it. We're going to run out of money. We've got no income apart from the web income. We've got wages to pay. 2,000 people are being paid every month. And luckily, the government in the UK stepped in with something called furlough money, which they basically gave us the money to give to our employees. And they gave us some reduction in our local taxes called rates. And that got us through. And we're back on our feet, and nobody lost their jobs. But it was a nightmare to live through. And in the midst of all of that, one of the biggest food banks in the UK is a Christian food bank called the Trestle Trusts. And the lady rang me and said, "Gary, we've got a major problem. The demand on the food banks is off the clock. We don't have infrastructure. We're being offered big volumes of food by a key food retailer, but we just can't get it to where it's got to be." And for 10 weeks, we converted our warehouse into receiving 30 articles of stock of food a week. We reboxed it into food bank size volumes and put it on our lorries and took it out to hubs. And we handled nearly 10 million meals worth of food in 10 weeks. Now, the actual cost was zero, because in the end, somebody else stepped in and covered the cost of the labor and the diesel in our lorries. But that wasn't what was happening to start with. But I couldn't, it felt like we were in the midst of literally in meltdown, but there were people that had no food. I couldn't do nothing. So it was almost an irresponsible step to have taken. And in the end, it wasn't God given a fleece to me, but in the end, somebody stepped in and financed what actually I couldn't afford to finance. But we still used all of our structure, all of our people, all the things to do it. So that's how I think I would describe generosity as, yes, please be generous with your money. You know, if God's made you successful, as entrepreneurs, we are the wealth creators. You know, whatever percentage you think God is saying do something with, I'm not being prescriptive, but you can read the Bible and it gives you a really good start. But in the end, it's what your heart wants to do. Give your money away. Research properly first and give it to what you know is well invested money. So if you want to give to a charity that's got 12 months worth of reserves in the bank, then that probably isn't going to make very, very much of a difference very quickly in people's lives. So research what you're giving to. Also go with your spirit, how you see something. Use your skills and talents to pass the baton on to somebody else or to the younger generation, to give them the opportunity in life to thrive and to succeed. And if you've got any facilities that you think you can use to benefit somebody else, then use those as well. 3 different areas but they're all an expression of generosity.